The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendation or investment or tax advice. Always consult with your investment and tax professional before making important decisions. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member, FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Punturo Financial Services, Inc., and Bernstein and Punturo LLP are not affiliated.
Hi, this is CPA and Certified Financial Planner Rick Punturo. For over 20 years, I've guided and built a roadway for my clients to reach their financial goals. Whether long or short term, wealth building or legacy planning, my clients have learned to better understand their tolerance for risk and how to achieve financial independence. Please contact me by visiting PunturoFinancial.com. That's PunturoFinancial.com, or call 631-694-5645. As a CPA and financial planner, I am able to offer what other financial advisors cannot: tax advice and how your investments may affect your tax liabilities. Please contact me today by visiting PunturoFinancial.com. That's PunturoFinancial.com, or call 631-694-5645. That's 631-694-5645. Together, let's get your investments in shape to achieve financial fitness. Certified Financial Planner Rick Punturo of Punturo Financial Services, the comprehensive financial planning firm, and Bernstein and Punturo, the tax, accounting, and business consulting company. My passion is to help people simplify their lives and achieve their dreams in the most graceful manner possible. In this ever-changing world, my insight in crafting a tax strategy alongside of your investments is invaluable. Financial advisors that are also CPAs have the insight to craft a strategy that allows you to grow your assets without surprise tax implications. This added layer of expertise and knowledge gives our office a comprehensive review of our client's entire financial picture. I can be reached by telephone at 631-694-5645 or visit my website at PunturoFinancial.com. We are conveniently located at 445 Broad Hollow Road, Melville, New York. I am your host of the Punturo Financial Fitness Show. Be sure to listen in every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. right here at 103.9 LI News Radio. Now, folks, before we discuss today's topic, I hope our listeners had a happy tax filing or extension. Hopefully, your investments were and are currently positioned in a tax-efficient manner, taking advantage of favorable long-term capital gain rates in coordination with capital loss harvesting to offset some of the taxable gains. Now, folks, you should look to take advantage of tax-deferred retirement accounts, health savings accounts, and college 529 plans. These strategies serve to let you lower your tax liability in the year of contribution. In addition, consider after-tax investing in a Roth IRA, if applicable, based on age and income. This can be a powerful tax-saving strategy in the future during retirement. Now, compounded growth from investing is great, right? But tax-free compounded growth that can be achieved with the Roth IRA, folks, is super fantastic. Make sure to have your investment professionals speak with your tax professional before modifying your investment strategy for tax considerations. Now, folks, today's show, we will speak about one of the crucial components of one's financial plan: long-term care planning. This is not the most exciting topic, but a critical one to be sure. If long-term care is not planned properly, the result can be extreme financial and emotional hardship. Today, my guest is insurance professional expert Neil Himmelstein, president and founder of the Long Island-based firm Main Street Planning Group. Neil is an advocate for long-term care planning and utilizes standalone and hybrid insurance solutions, as well as legal and financial concepts to protect client needs. Neil is also the host of his own show entitled The Main Street Code for Financial Success, which you can tune in every Friday at 3 p.m., none other than right here at 103.9 LI News Radio. My friend Neil is not just a great friend, but somebody I can trust. and rely on for his expertise in the most complex insurance matters. He can be reached by telephone at 631-647-4694 and visit his website at mainstreetplanninggroup.com. So, Neil, I want to thank you. This is indeed the second time that you're appearing on our show. I know you're extremely busy, but you always say when you need something done and you want somebody, an expert in the area, you have to speak to the people, ask and request the people that are busy, right? Those are the people that get things done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I was listening to your show beforehand, and it used to be what the two things we worried about was death and taxes. And I know you're a tax expert and an investment expert, but there's death, taxes, and long-term care. And what people don't realize is that today's statistics are growing tremendously. Now, 70% of us, once we reach the age of 65, 70%, it's more than 2 out of 3 of us will need some sort of care, and that's other than health care. It's what they call custodial care. Long-term care is anything that your health insurance isn't going to cover, like bathing you or getting you to the store, doing your groceries. All these things become more difficult as we live longer.
Yes, interesting enough, I remember some years back, not so long ago, that the statistics were more like in the 50 percentile, 55%, but folks are living longer, right?
You're absolutely right. And when long-term care insurance, which evolved around 30 years ago, started, the statistics were 1 out of 2 people. But with medical science the way it is, 30 years ago, you had a heart attack, next day, you were declared dead. Today, you have a heart attack, and if you have an HMO in New York, you're in and out of the hospital in a day. They do a balloon, they do a this, they do a that. They can recognize these things. Many things they can treat now that they couldn't treat in the past. But that's extending our lifespan. Cancer is a whole nother thing. Cancers, they're now able to extend your life. But the biggest thing, and they've made a lot of improvements, is mental health. Alzheimer's. People don't think about that when they think about long-term care. But, Alzheimer's and mental health, our brains deteriorate the longer we live, unfortunately, and that can create major problems to someone's financial plans and also within the family of whether they're not paying their bills or they can't drive, that creates a lot of problems.
So truth be said, you have to plan for long-term care, whether
Absolutely.
Or not it's insurance, which is where you can keep more. If you have the insurance, long-term care insurance, you can control your assets more so than some of these irrevocable trusts that are set up, commonly referred to as Medicaid trust. So long-term care, is a part of your expertise. You're a very talented guy in the insurance sector. Walk me through what you do at Main Street Planning Group.
Well, preferably if you plan, there's all types of planning. The earlier you plan, the easier it is to make a plan. Unfortunately, most people go see an elder care attorney when somebody's already sick and they got to move assets around or they got to do this and got to do that. And the reason is they didn't have a plan in place. And also, people may start planning in their 60s or 70s and wait and say, okay, now I'm retired, now I'm going to plan. But then your health isn't as good then, and you may or may not be able to get insurance options. And the insurance is a couple of things. One of the things that's overlooked when people talk about long-term care insurance, or whether it's a hybrid or standalone, we can get into the differences. But the biggest thing they don't talk about is it's a ticket. It's a golden ticket. It gives you that care coordinator. It gives you an assessment. The biggest thing about long-term care that people overlook, forget about the product, forget about everything else. If something goes wrong, who are you going to call? Okay, who are you going to call? You're going to call Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters, there you go. So that's a problem. Okay, in my parents' situation, my father couldn't get out of the bathtub. So who did my mom call? She called 911 because his back and neck got so bad that she had to call somebody in from 911. They took it. He had to sit in that bathtub for an hour and a half before they came. Okay? So all of a sudden, who do you call? That's a big problem. Now, with a long-term care insurance program, whether it's hybrid or standalone, a lot of it is they'll do a couple things. One is an assessment. And that assessment is extremely valuable. You know, if you're a parent and you take care of your parent, or you're talking to your mom and dad, and you all of a sudden see that there's certain things going wrong, you don't know how to deal with it. You may have your own issues dealing with your own family. How are you going to set that person up to have the kind of care that they actually need? And
you won't be objective.
You're not objective whatsoever.
So you need that. That's a great point, and that's having a coordinator is huge in anything we do, right?
And an assessment. So we have a lot of people that don't even realize they think there might be a problem, but they don't know how to approach their mom. They don't know how to approach their dad. So if you have a policy, one of the things you can do is, it doesn't cost you anything, you can have somebody assess the situation for you independently and then help you, whether it's a mental or physical things that your parent needs. I think it's very important.
So, okay, folks, so we're talking about long-term care, and long-term care solutions, a critical component of financial planning, critical component of financial fitness. And I'm here with Neil Himmelstein. Of course, I'm Rick Punturo. You're listening to the Punturo Financial Fitness Show. Stay tuned for the short commercial break. If you were listening to us before the commercial break, or just joining us, welcome to the Punturo Financial Fitness Show. Be sure to listen every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. right here at 103.9 LI News Radio. This is CPA and Certified Financial Planner Rick Punturo of Punturo Financial Services of the Punturo Financial Fitness Show, the comprehensive financial planning firm, and Bernstein & Punturo, the tax, accounting, and consulting firm. I am joined here by my esteemed guest, insurance professional expert, Neil Himmelstein, president and founder of Main Street Planning Group. We are speaking about the all-important topic of long-term care insurance. And before the break, we will get into some detail as far as some of the privileges, the coordinator concept of long-term care, how critical it is, and the probability of needing long-term care services has increased from 50 some years back to about approximately 70%, according to our expert. And that's the number that I've been viewing as well. And the reason is folks are living longer. The privilege of living longer means that you're more likely to need long-term care services. So this critical component of a plan is the importance is no greater than today. And I believe it will get even more important as people will continually live longer. So Neil, let's talk about long-term care. Just if you can basically give us an abridgment version of long-term care, how it differs from the hybrid long-term care life insurance hybrid product with the long-term care provision.
Absolutely. So, long-term care has evolved and people think it's expensive. What's really expensive is if you need care. And I don't care how great Rick is, he's a fantastic advisor, but if you are planning all your finances out till you're 100 or whatever it is, or 120, and you're not accounting for the fact that you have a long-term care and you have this big expense, it could devastate your financial plans. That's why we do it.
It's catastrophic. And if I could interject for 1 second, if I could, I tell people when they come to me, it is when you prepare a comprehensive financial plan, whether it's a new client coming in or ongoing client, it is critically important to bring up the concept of long-term care, because the issue is you have the real risk, how you deal with it. You could do nothing, which is never a good answer. The things that are uncomfortable are always best solved up front, right?
Right. And I think it's a family affair. It affects everybody in the family. So if let's say like me, I had kids growing up and we had to take care of my father-in-law. So my wife had to run and drive a half hour and take care of him, and then run back and pick the kids up at school. And, it becomes a family affair. Now, her brother lived in another state. Me and my brothers, we lived in 4 different states, and my parents lived in Baltimore. So how do we make that plan? It's much easier to plan ahead of time than it is after something happens.
And it's much easier to plan with the family, so everybody plays a role and everybody's on board. And good communication is obviously very important.
So how do you plan for this? Well, there's two ways of planning. One is after an event occurs or when an event's about to happen, which most people do, which is the wrong way to plan. It's much easier to plan when you're younger and you can properly buy an insurance policy. Now, there's really three types of insurance policies you can buy. One is what they call a standalone or traditional long-term care. Now, the word on the street is it's expensive. It's not expensive. What happened is when it came out and the odds were 1 out of 2, they underpriced the market tremendously. And not only did they underprice the market, but they were selling they were selling Maseratis to people who didn't need it. And
they thought people would pay for 15 years, like life insurance, and then get rid of it. But everybody kept it because they knew they had they were advised to keep it because the strong probability of needing that as it trended higher when they initially signed those
absolutely
those contracts.
The insurance companies only thought they were on the hook for 2 or 3 years of paying a claim. What they found out is that they were really on the hook for 4, 5 years, and sometimes a lifetime, and they gave lifetime benefits, and they gave policies that you could buy a lifetime benefit that you could never outlive, but they didn't think anybody would ever use it. And it turns out not only were they using it, but they were compounding at 5% when inflation rate was flat the last 15 years. Forget about this year. And all of a sudden, these insurance companies said, well, we can't afford this. This is insane, because they never realized the impact that they can keep us alive longer. So there's really only 1 or 2 standalone carriers left in the state of New York.
It makes you think, right? And if you just be even a layman, obviously I'm skilled in the area of insurance, being an insurance license and a CPA and a CFP. But the real issue, it makes you think, if the insurance companies want to get out of some of them got out of the business, only a few players left, that you really need that peril. I mean, you really have to run an efficient business in long-term care to be able to offset. And there are tax benefits to long-term care insurance that Uncle Sam's paying. So it's a productive thing to consider, providing you are insurable, and not everybody's insurable. And I want to segue into something, because oftentimes clients say, I want to wait until I'm 58, 60, 61. First of all, in addition to getting more expensive, guess what? It's very possible, even though you may live to a long age, because of the underwriting, what we talked about, you have to run a very tight ship. You may not be approved. You may have been approved at 48, but you may have some other conditions that would give rise to simply not being approved, or being approved at a lower rating. So,
right. And long-term care companies, unlike they are life insurance. They are insurance companies, but unlike life insurance, they're betting on the fact of you needing care, not necessarily dying. So you may have a condition that they know you're going to need care. You're going to need help by percentage. So therefore, they're going to make it more expensive or not offer.
Yeah, not offer
when you're older, because our bodies are developing and they can keep us alive a long time, and these policies can be very so the standalone products, they're still out there. There's tax deductions, and you hit on a big point. The state government and the federal government are working very hard for you to buy some sort of program, because they know the odds. And the last thing they want you to do is go on Medicaid. Medicaid is for the impoverished seniors that run out of money, that need care. The Medicaid is the number 1 long-term care provider in the United States by far. They're the number 1 insurer, which is the government. So the government is bleeding money. They don't want you to be doing Medicaid planning per se. Elder lawyers make a fortune doing it, but they do it because of an emergency, because they have to. They have to move assets around to protect them whatsoever, because of this cost of long-term care. So if you prepare and you have this policy, you won't be in that position where you have to be forced around. So they're looking for ways to help.
And you have more control of your assets too, of course.
Right, 100%. I mean, the worst thing is if you're investing all your money in a 401k or IRA, and it's all qualified money, and then you need that money for care, and then you got to pay taxes on it as you're drawing it out. It's such a frustrating thing. So I did want to get back to, we talked about standalone. They also have developed hybrid long-term care policies, which are based upon an asset, so you could control the cost of long-term care by buying it up front with a 1-pay or a 10-pay. It's not a bad idea, because once it's done, it's done. You know you have that asset. It's front. And then the third way is they combine it with a life insurance policy, which is an interesting way of doing it. You don't get the tax favorability per se, but what it does do is if you don't need the care, at least you have that pocket of money you can leave behind as a legacy to your children. Or to whoever you like. But at the end of the day, it's a pocket of money that can be used in two directions. It's sort of like buying a stereo with all the
and it's permanent insurance, so you will die and you will use it.
Right, you will die,
and
but if you don't think you're going to need long-term care, a lot of people buy because they don't think they'll need it, but they want to have it just in case, and that's a good reason to buy it.
Okay, so thank you, Neil Himmelstein, for shedding some light to a very crucial component of financial fitness, long-term care insurance. Now, Neil can be reached by telephone at 631-647-4694. This is CPA and Certified Financial Planner Rick Punturo, and thank you for listening to the Punturo Financial Fitness Show. I can be reached by telephone at 631-694-5645. That's 631-694-5645. Or visit my website at punturofinancial.com.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendation or investment or tax advice. Always consult with your investment and tax professional before making important decisions. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member, FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Punturo Financial Services, Inc., and Bernstein and Punturo, LLP are not affiliated.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.